What's happening? Hope everybody is doing well today. It is Saturday. Spring is in the air, at least hardcore here in Tallahassee, Florida. Got done today, had an awesome day with the cruise. A couple of my guys were off, so I was out there on a rig too. We did a little church property, a couple of houses. What else this morning? Had a commercial maintenance account, so it was nice. Tomorrow we have like 5 banks, a library, and office park. So it's good to be busy. Anyway, last night I figured out what's causing my insomnia is the horrible, crappy, bad advice that I'm hearing from people. But I heard one more guy. Ryan, I am doing great. Jim, glad you are here. I heard one more guy on YouTube who's selling his success packages, yada yada yada, saying, "Well, how do you determine the square footage of the house?" Well, I just asked the owner what the square footage is of the house. Asking the owner what the square footage of the house is possibly the absolute worst way you can determine the square footage of a house. And keep in mind, I grew up, literally had my real estate license whenever I was 18 years old. My mother and I owned a RE/MAX franchise. I then was a property developer, real estate developer, and that's whenever I lost my butt back in the crash of 2009, what made me go to Lowe's with my last $300 and buy a crappy Troy-Bilt pressure washer. So I've been around the real estate industry a little bit. Typically speaking, when you're buying and selling a home, you're obsessed with square footage, but not just square footage. Typically speaking, interior heated and cooled square footage. Yes, little niceties such as a pool or a big screen porch certainly add value, but the major kick of the value on a regular residential piece of property or a commercial piece of property comes from the interior heated and cooled square footage. Whenever I do a commercial lease, like the office that I'm leasing, I pay $12 a foot annually based on 3,000 square foot because that's the interior footage of my building on here. I'm not paying it on the parking lot. I'm not paying it on the front stoop. I'm not paying it on the area that's not considered, the usable space on there. Well, same thing on our properties, especially residential. Buyers, when you say, "Hey, how big is your house?" They'll say, it's 3,000 square feet. Well, typically they're going to say 3,000 square feet because that's what's been ingrained into their mind. That's what I've bought, a 3,000 square foot house. Well, they bought 3,000 heated and cooled square footage. But think about it. A two-car garage is typically going to be between 400 to 500 square feet. You take a 24 by 28 foot area, that's a large chunk of that property that you might not be considering whenever you ask the buyer what's the square footage of their property. Screen porches, they're typically not going to say, "Oh yeah, what's the it includes the square footage. What's the square footage of your screen porch?" I don't know. I've never met a buyer of my services that's been able to tell me what the square footage of their pool screen is. I'm sure there are some out there, but typically speaking, most people are just going hardcore, my heated and cooled square footage. So by asking the buyer, "Hey, what's your square footage?" you're probably not getting the accurate story of How big is the house that they're asking you to wash? It's also one of the reasons that I recommend, and I'll show you here because I've pulled a couple up, why we get out there and look at these properties. If you really want to maximize your sales, if you want to really pop those packages, it's so important to get out there and see these guys and meet with them. And I know there's plenty of people that are successful by just emailing the stuff and they never see the properties. I'm not saying you're doing a horrible by doing that, but there's a lot of people. And if you think about these guys that have really made a name for them in their business, Pat Clark, Brandon Vaughn, guys like this are having either themselves or their salespeople, as they've grown, go out there and meet with the customer and see the customer. Ryan's saying, I'm new, everything is studied. They buy from you. They buy from your personality. Absolutely. Otherwise, if you're just emailing, especially if you're the new guy, if you're just emailing stuff, it's going to be really tough because you're not really getting to capture part of that customer's mind. I'd say if you're the new guy, it's probably even more important to get out there and develop the rapport, because you might not have a huge online presence. You might not have 150 pictures on your Google. You might not have, a website that's seasoned and is 30 or 40 pages deep. And people buy from people they like. At least the customers we want. They buy from the people they like. So let me share my screen here. And I'm going to show y'all a lot of share screen, share that screen, share. Okay, so starting out here, let's just go hardcore on the screen. Starting out here, I'm going to the Leon County Property Appraiser's website. Almost every county is going to have a property appraiser's website. That's who sets the value on your house. It's not the tax collector. It's the property appraiser. This is who's going to go out there and figure out the value of the house, what you're paying taxes on. Daniel's saying, depends on the area, small town, 90% of the time get call or email, you got the job before you even quote it. Yeah, absolutely. I agree, Daniel. I think you're in a unique market and you know so many of your customers, and I agree. Especially if you're in a small town, you probably already know the property, or at least you know the neighborhood. So I'm going to go here. I'm just going to search for Burke, my last name. Search. Right here, I've got all the Burkes in Leon County. There's 4 pages of Burkes. This will even start going into other Burkes. And actually, ironically, none of these people are my relatives. So if you have a Burkette, it tends to be kind of a catch-all. Here's Burks, Demetrius Burks. Here's another Burkette. Anyway, I digress. So Burke Raymond, 2800 Pine Ridge Road. So I'm pulling this up here, and it's a couple of interesting things about the property. So I bought this back in 2002, 138, assessments, blah, blah, blah. But down here in the building summary, year built 76, base square footage 1,842 square feet, auxiliary square footage 1,726 square feet. So if I go and just say, okay, I'm going to pull it up online. If I'm pulling up a line, it's a 1,842 square foot house. It's all good, right? I know what I should charge for it. Hold up, because that's not necessarily true. Our house has a big screened porch on the back of it, and the previous owner went and converted garage into living space, and then they put a separate carport on there. So let's go back to the Google Maps. So if I go out here to the Google Maps, I already have the house pulled up. Here's another place that people get into trouble whenever they're just doing the online bidding thing. So the Google map, I'm going to scroll out and try to get a street view of it. No, I'm sorry, I need to scroll in to get the street view. I'm not getting the street view. Click there. So right there, there's a water trailer there. This is before I ever had an office. I've had an office now for 6 years. I've been in an office for 6 years, so that's really an older picture. My house isn't that color anymore. My house has landscaping here. I've ripped all that landscaping out, and I'm rock now. I don't have these boxwoods anymore along in here. I don't have these sago palms here anymore. Hell, I don't have these pine trees anymore. I had my yard logged. And keep in mind, your satellite view is oftentimes different than actually your street view on there. Because if I go into the satellite view here, let's see, there's a boat and a truck. I don't have that boat anymore either. You don't see the big gigantic workshop that I have over here in this photograph either. So even pictures online can kind of lie to you guys. Now, here's one little trick about this. So here's the carport that the prior owner put in. If you go onto your Google Maps and you would say measure distance. So I go in here to this corner because I know this is the carport. This line right here is where my carport is in the house. I'm going to go and say measure distance. I right clicked. I'm going to go to here. And then I'm going to go up to here. And then I'm going to go up to here. And then I'm just going to kind of close off the square. Is it perfect? No, it's not. But it's showing me my total area is 2,773 square feet. That's my heated and cooled area of the house. A lot more than the 1,800 that was on the tax rolls. So if I wanted to go and measure the whole outside measurement of this house, measure distance, click. Nope. Hold on. Clear measurement. I'm going to start here at the carport. Also, something else that you might not be able to see, I've got a separate garage right there. And yeah, if I'm going to have it washed, probably going to have the exterior, the garage exterior. So here's our little screen porch, Florida room overlooking the pool right along in here. We spend more time out there than I do inside the house. Whenever I go and I do a measurement like that, I'm now more at 3,800 square feet. So if I'm Gene O'Neill, exactly, it's all $99, no big deal. Yes, it's real simple. So if you make your pricing like that, easy peasy. So I'm using this Google map. I'm at 3,861 square feet, not including the separate garage out there. So here's a funny one for you. A lot of times people don't realize just how old the map data is that they're looking at. And even though they say that this is down here at the bottom, see where I'm at right along in here? Dragging the mouse around it. Google Map 2021, map data 2021. Map data 2021, it's not. Because I built this along in here a long time ago. If I go to Bing Maps, look, I've got a new roof and a pool screen, and my yard has been logged. I mean, big difference on there right now. Huge big difference on that property. And in fact, let's see, I've got my new F-250 is sitting there. Tanya still had her, what was that? The white Highlander. There, my daughter has stopped by to see us. She's in her little white RAV4. And we have a workman. Oh, we're having the house painted because that's the painter's van right there. We no longer have the shop. Here's the garage. They haven't painted the garage yet. And there's a pool screen up there. And then here's this other carport that we had. So none of that showed up on the garage. You just couldn't see it because of the shade. But none of this showed up on the Google map. So I'm guessing we had the house painted a year and a half ago. So I don't see a date on the Bing map here, but it's much more updated than the Google map is. And you can see what I was talking about with the landscaping. There is no landscaping. I went with all rock along in here. There's one sago left. Literally the only bush that I have to worry about is that. There's the chicken coop, and there's the sheep fence, and there's the old ambulance that I have bought right there. So sold that at least a year ago. So Tommy, I don't know if you can measure on Bing Maps. Let's find. Okay, I right-clicked like I did on the other one. I don't see it. No, it looks like you can't measure on Bing Maps. Now, I'm not getting into all of the other stuff up here. But Bing does have a street view. Let's go to... All right, so, and here's funny. So I'm still in Bing. I went to the street view. They haven't updated the street view. And look, so I've got... That's crazy. So, street view on there, and let's see, I've got, looks like the old duck boat is right there, and the decoys and stuff are all out there. So it was winter time-ish whenever we did this. In fact, the leaves are off the crepe myrtle in back there. That was my manager at the time, Travis. That was his red Ford. That was my white. Matt had that Cherokee. There's one of the spray wash trucks, and there's one of the trailers. This is before we had an office. Again, we've been in an office for 6 years now, so pretty dated photo, even though that the same company, the Bing, and how do I get back to the street view or the overhead view on here? Right there. Oh, go to the bird's eye. And different color house, new roof. And the truck that I bought a year and a half ago is sitting there in the driveway. I'm at memory lane. Oh, thanks. So Mitch is saying calculating distances from Bing Maps to get started. Go to Bing Maps, select the distance calculator app. So there is an app for that. Interesting. Thank you, Mitch. On the map canvas, let's see here. Then click, right click or tap and hold. See, I'm right clicking. I am right clicking, Mitch, and I'm not finding it on mine. All I have, whenever I right click, only thing that pops up is the view street side. So I don't know if that's regional or could be because I'm on a Mac and I'm using Google Chrome. I don't know. But yeah, I agree, Jacob. In-person bids are the best way. So if you've tuned in, late, I go into, we went and did the Google measuring device on here. Leon County says it's, 1,800 square feet with 1,700 auxiliary. Well, it turns out my house is 3,800 square feet because I'm not washing just the heated and cooled living area in a house. I'm washing the garage. I'm washing that. And we didn't go and measure the garage even on that. So that would probably put us up over 4,000 feet on that. And to give you an example, I went over to the Gadsden County. Gadsden County is the city or the county right next to us. And Gadsden County, same thing. I pulled up my childhood home, 211 Duval Street in Quincy. And it shows, here I can show the value. I can show the total area. Every county is going to be a little bit different, but it shows the total area is 4,800 square feet of that house. The heated area was 3,184 square feet of that house. They even have a property sketch on that house. Shows when it was transferred and et cetera, et cetera. So old it doesn't even have our names on it. Back in that time. That was whenever we moved away from Quincy, 1978. So there's your little memory lane thing. So anyhow, yeah, I need Doug to help me. Exactly. He's better techie at it than I am. He honestly is, because I'm more of an in-person guy. But just remember, this computer and this technology stuff will lie to you. And if you're the guy who's just taking your customer's word for it, don't. If you're just taking the computer's word for it, don't. If you can get out there, drive by the property, look at it, I think you're a little bit better off. At least in my market, you are. And I know some people don't have bigger markets and you can't do that. And some of us are owner operators and we just don't have a salesperson and we don't have time. I mean, between the calls coming in and between all that crap, it's like, I don't have time to get out there and do this. But I really think if you put eyes on the property, if you set yourself up as I'm the different guy, you're going to wind up making more. Jason Claro is saying Measure Maps Pro allows you to use multiple maps, including Bing, and you can measure with it. But Mitch is saying that you can measure on Bing. So Mitch, I'm going to play with that some more. I'm going to try it with a couple of different browsers on there. Anyhow, hope this has solved a little bit of confusion. Well, probably created more confusion, but I hope this has explained one of the reasons why I think it's so important to get out there and look at properties. If that's how you're set up, don't sit there and listen to guys that are just saying, oh yeah, just ask the customer. It's horrible, horrible, horrible information. Go back again. The customer's going to tell you what their heated and cooled square footage is, not what the actual footprint of their house is. Steve Sally saying in person because it's so much easier to walk and see what they're concerned about. Absolutely, the real money is made. And again, we do videos like this, and Doug and I are sitting here teaching because we want to build a better washer. And I don't care if you have the Husqvarna or the Ryobi, or you have a power wash machine with a portioner on there, power wash store, huge rig. Your equipment doesn't dictate the money that you make. You dictate the money that you make. Y'all have heard me say this before. Why is it that some guys sell bleach for $30 a gallon or $30 an hour? Why do some people sell the same exact bleach for $300 an hour? I know how. I know why. You're selling that sizzle, baby, not just the steak. Wash on, happy spring, and hope you guys are just killing it. See ya.